Hi, I'm Jennifer Goodale, the Director of Military, Family, and Survivor Policy on MOA's Government Relations team. And this year for Advocacy in Action, we're going to be talking about an effort that might address the high unemployment rate amongst military spouses. The latest numbers from DoD show that military spouses face an unemployment rate of 21%, which is more than 5 times the national average. Things like frequent moves, inability to access childcare, and resume gaps are all contributing factors to military spouse unemployment challenges. With the frequent relocations, we move on average about every 2 to 3 years. And even when you're able to find childcare in one duty station, when you move 2 years later, that whole process starts again. And finally, for resume gaps, when you lack employment in certain duty stations, it's going to either be a gap or you're going to have to capitalize on some of your volunteer work, which may or may not translate in the next job opportunity. DoD has invested millions of dollars into addressing the high unemployment rates among military spouses through programs like the Spouse Education and Career Opportunities, or AiA, which provides education resources for military spouses of certain grades. Those are amazing programs. Unfortunately, what they do is they focus on making the military spouse more employable, improving a resume, providing more interview tips. An alternative solution that addresses the flip side of this equation is something called the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. This program was developed back in the 1990s to help incentivize the hiring of populations that face significant barriers to employment. It's morphed over time and been reauthorized or retroactively authorized to the point where now we've got 10 target groups. And this just means that businesses can get an average tax credit of about $2,400. It actually ranges all the way up to $9,600 for some qualified veterans. But for the rest of the target groups, it averages $2,400 for hiring a member of one of the target groups. So let's take a more focused look. For veterans, when their unemployment rate breached the 10% mark back in the 2010-11 timeframe, Congress acted and added a new target group under the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. You can see between 2019 and 2023, almost 700,000 veterans were hired under the Work Opportunity Tax Credit program. That's just a good example of how this could possibly work for military spouses. When a military spouse goes into a company and that company knows it's going to cost them a certain amount to onboard and hire them, what if it was offset by a tax credit? Now they're more incentivized to hire this population. And ultimately, why this is so important is that military spouse unemployment doesn't just affect the pocketbook or the wallet of the military family today. It impacts their ability to save for retirement, the loss in potential earnings from future jobs, and a loss of what we call social capital. So if I'm out of the workforce when we're stationed somewhere for 3 years, now I've got a gap in my resume, my skills have languished a little bit, and also my network has decreased. So I don't have those ins to get that next job and to keep moving forward in my career. Additionally, it has a readiness impact. Blue Star Families has been serving the military community for a number of years. And all of their recent surveys point to the fact that almost 40% of military members, now this is important, military members, not just the spouses, cite concerns with their spouses, their civilian spouses' employment as a reason to leave the service. So we're not just talking about the impact on your wallet today. We're talking about all of the other consequences that result from unemployment today and long-term or continued unemployment. So if you only have 30 seconds with a lawmaker, this is what I want you to say. The military spouse community has faced an unemployment rate of 20% or higher for more than a decade. It's time to incentivize their hiring through the development of a target group under the existing Work Opportunity Tax Credit. Not only will that help companies offset that cost of hiring and onboarding a new employee, but it will bring talented military spouses into the workforce. Military spouse unemployment isn't just a problem that impacts the family. It impacts retention across the force as service members continue to cite spouse employment challenges as a reason for leaving the uniform. The Military Spouse Hiring Act is the solution we need.